G'day punters, welcome to the Sydney Review Show. We're talking about the Golden Rose, the weekend's racing from Rosehill, and we'll be jumping into some of the punting form data as well. But to start the show, Mark Shean, there's been a couple of trials this morning. Have you had a look at either Nature Strip or G-Tra?
Yeah, Nature Strip came out a little bit slow again, so he did draw out wide and maybe jagged him back, but he did look about a neck slow out of the barrier, which is a bit of a concern. G-Tra ridden up to lead. It looked like he was having a good look around, had the ears pricked, and he was pushed out, but I think he had probably a couple of lengths up his sleeve. Look, Nature Strip got back and then was hard held, but that start is starting to be probably a little bit of a worry in the race on Saturday. Depends where he draws, I suppose.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking of Saturday just gone, how'd you fare on the punt?
Yeah, I could have handled it better, but I managed to just have the nose in front. Unfortunately, I was on Mars Crusader at evens in the last, so I was feeling for a rope and a big cliff. But just kept looking there. Should I lay this back? Should I lay this back? Unfortunately, I didn't. But Subpoenaed was okay and got a couple other races right, but a couple others wrong as well.
Mark Rhoden, you've spent a bit of time in the bookies ring holding the bag over the years. Days like Saturday, how do you celebrate after the races? Is it caviar and champagne, or is it a bit more than that?
Yeah, it is a bit sickening when you get a set of results like that. The bookies stand around in the betting ring after the last, telling each other what geniuses they are, and the results have fallen their way. But yeah, it was all those on paper good things went over. It was a tough day for the punters for sure.
Rob, there was one good thing that lobbed in race 4, and that's where we'll start, the Gloaming Stakes. Can you just run me through what you told some of our subscribers about this winner, Love Tap?
Oh, yeah. Well, I might be overrating this thing, but to me, it looked like the best staying 3-year-old I've seen by a long way. And yeah, I just said just back it for the VRC Derby. Sadly, I forgot about the Spring Championships, but I just think it can win the Derby. And yeah, maybe I'm underrating like a horse like Mwanga, as he's a bit of a lightly framed type, but this is a big, strong staying type with a great attitude, and it looked like it had a bit of condition to come. Thought it really impressed, and I didn't expect it to lead like that and win. Anyway,
it was a fast run tempo. They've gone 3.3 lengths fast for the class, 6th best performance on the day on the punting form data, Rob. So that's a pretty handy performance there. Mark Shean, your impressions of this winner of the Gloaming?
Yeah, I've really liked his wins at the country track at Goulburn. I think barrier 1 was the worst barrier that he could have drawn because he's been slow at every start and all his trials. And I think he was worried about getting trapped back in the field. So he made a lot of use of him in the early stages. And I think you'll find he'll be ridden a little bit more conservative in the Spring Champion. And, he's going to really lap up 2,000 metres. This horse got a beautiful long stride on him. And I think this was just a learning curve for him on Saturday to be ridden up out of the barrier and get up on the speed.
Mark Rhoden, where do you have this 3-year-old in terms of overall ratings so far for the Spring?
Not through the roof, but considering he's going to be in the staying division, he's certainly good enough and obviously deserves to be ruling favourite for the Spring Champion. The Victoria Derby market looks very, very open at this stage, but he's obviously heading that way and will be right in it, I think. Yeah, he did half miss the start on Saturday. I'm convinced that leading wasn't plan A at all. And he, when he half missed the start, Nash gave him a bit of a kick, and he's such a big, strong, big striding sort of horse. He half took hold of him and sort of towed him to the lead, and that's where they ended up. And yeah, I totally agree. I think we'd better just off the speed for sure.
I think this horse, Favreau, might be a VRC Derby horse. This was his first start in blinkers. He's been lost in a couple of races at Kembla, and even on Saturday, he just lost the plot there at the 600 metres, but he was finishing the race off very strongly late. Maybe 2,000, the Spring Champion, might even still be a bit short for him, but once he gets to even like a Geelong Classic or the VRC Derby, if he makes it that far, I think he'll be really coming into his own once he gets over those trips.
He's certainly in the right stable for young stayers too.
Absolutely.
Rob, what did you think of Favreau?
Remind me what number?
It would have been number 10. Number 10.
missed the numbers. I had 7 from Bucharest, and then I was looking for a 4th horse here. I thought there was only 3 kind of half decents, and he was like miles in front. So I thought it was a pretty weak race, and this thing looked head and shoulders. So I can't tell you much about Favreau. Sorry.
You're starstruck by the winner.
Yeah, man, that was it. I was just like, wow, who is this? And then I looked at the odds. Oh, it's $1.70. Oh, bugger.
All right, we'll jump into race 5, the Heritage Stakes over 1,100 metres. Wild Ruler returned first up. Good performance. Good late splits to hold off Destination, which I guess we may as well talk about Hugh Bowman. He's only riding this Saturday, and then he's heading down to Melbourne. He doesn't want to ride in Everest. He wants to win a Melbourne Cup. Rob, you heavily backed Destination along with me. Your thoughts?
Look, it lined up on our data, and a bit like the previous race, I thought it really stood out in the yard here. So when I saw it was the top of our sheets, I was keen to play. And more than that, I thought the favourite, the one, I remember it as a 2-year-old and maybe parading a little bit more relaxed than it did. It looked forward. It didn't look like a $3 shot. It looked like Destination was the $3 shot from the yard, and it was 6s. So I just watched the Stewards footage this morning. I don't know why I've done it to myself, but I have. And to me, it looks like there's a gap there opening up inside the winner. And Huey kind of switches around here and goes outside the winner. And it's like he doesn't expect to get that close on the line, as the horse is really eating into the margin the last little bit. So, I think we run this race 10 times, and I think it's at least a 50-50 between the winner and the second horse.
Mark Shean, what's your thoughts on Hugh Bowman opting for Melbourne as opposed to Sydney for the remainder of the spring?
Well, I'm not sure what rides he's got lined up, so maybe he's got some good books coming up down there, and on the chance of getting on some better chances. I don't know, so I'm not exactly sure what he's got lined up. Look, I think Wild Ruler did get a bit fizzy in the yard, but he looked like that at the trials on Monday, so maybe that's in his makeup. And I think he did blow. He did come in quite strongly in the ring, and then he did get the blows there late on Betfair. So I think it'll be just by his parade. Destination certainly did parade well. Of the others, well, Six Gum's got a few tricks up his sleeve, but hit the line okay. But I think the first 2 are the ones to follow.
Mark Rhoden, is that the way that you saw it on the weekends?
Yeah, I ended up on Destination too. I had the 3 in the market all pretty close together on Destination. Ended up clearly the best price of them. I ended up on him. It was a bit. I don't think this is one you hang Bowman for. It was like it was a very 50-50 decision he had to make there, and perhaps he didn't think he was going as well as the horse ended up performing. I don't know, but it did look a little bit stiff, that's for sure.
Very strong final 200-metre split as well there by Destination, so no doubt it'll be one that many people will be following next start. Race 6 on Saturday was the Shannon Stakes over 1,500 metres, the Group 2, and I Am Superman lobbed in a perfect spot. It was just a dominant ride on a very slow tempo. They've gone 5 lengths slow to the 600, and in the end it was just too strong for Riadini, and looks like Elvis, so the on-speed horses clearly dominated that race there. Rob, I'll start with you. Just give us an overview of a couple of these chances from the yard and anything that you thought might improve.
Look, I missed I Am Superman. It did parade really well. I think I said hard to beat, but I was looking for something a little bit wider. I got stuck on the Queenslanders. I thought that the tie zone looked just about at top, so maybe we can bin him this prep, as I can't see where the improvement's coming. Nicanova, he's a bit more rangy style of horse. I kind of liked him even a little bit more. Probably, as you're saying, with the data, he hasn't had a chance to really run on. I haven't looked at this race too much, as I think that they're pretty bloody average horses, a bit like the Probabile race the week before, which Lara Main got retired from. So I did predict that. Look, there's not much there. Riadini's only a little pony of a thing. I think people get excited about him, but I'll be taking him on wherever he goes. Anything else you want me to mention? Forgettable bunch.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Mark Shean, are you going to be following anything out of this race?
No, I think the ride won the race. He was a bit wide early on I'm Superman, but as you said, he rolled into a beautiful position. They pulled up mid-race and it was just in the right spot. Rhoden probably just hampered for a run there at the top of the straight and copped a whip over the head. Some people were saying it was unlucky, but I think the winner surged there late and probably had still a bit up the sleeve considering the soft run that he'd had. Obviously, the flashing light runs with Scarlet Dream and Nudge off the slow speed. They'll probably head towards the angst against mares at Randwick over a mile, so that'll be a more suitable assignment for them, I would think.
Mark Rhoden, anything for yourself? I guess the race itself looked a little bit plain going into the meeting, and it probably has turned out that way.
Yeah, the horse with the best map, he mapped to get a good run on just off the speed, and that's how it panned out. He kind of stuffed up, looks like Elvis, I think. Could have had the rail. He jumped very well. He could have had the rail if he wanted it, then didn't want it. Clearly wanted to be in the running line, and then ended up 3 wide from gate 3 or something. It was bizarre. I don't know if it's cost him the race or not, but he. I don't know if it had every chance. It's been a bit luckless this prep. I don't know if I want to just keep chasing my money with him, but just thought the ride was a bit funny there. Okay. Oh, and just on Scarlet Dream, Rob, aren't you of the view that it's a fresh best?
Yeah. She looked a little bit heavy to me. Okay. I have backed her first up in the past, and I did have another look at her, but I just thought she was a bit heavy, and maybe next start.
So this prep we can expect improvement second up, which hasn't always been the case in the past.
Yeah, you can expect it, but mares until they do something and find a bit of form, it's hard to be too sure about anything.
But she's in a new stable now, so it might be a different training regime.
Good point.
Who's she with now?
She's with Hawkes now, but she was with Mark Newnham.
Oh, there we go. Hawkes' horse, heavy first up. That's a pattern I've noticed.
Okay, we'll jump into the main event, which was the Golden Rose over 1400, the Group 1. In terms of the speed for the class, they have gone 6.5 lengths fast to the 600, which is very fast. If you take the adjusted figure and compare it from race to race, they've actually gone 1 length faster than what they went in the run to the Rose. And on this occasion, Rothfire, obviously the short favourite, it's pulled up with a couple of little issues afterwards as well. There was clearly no match for Ole Kirk and North Pacific Late, who just recorded big figures. No surprise, they were the best figures on the day produced in this race. The top two, Ole Kirk and North Pacific, fighting out for first and third on the podium of the overall figures. Rob Scurry, run us through how the horses paraded in the yard for the Golden Rose.
All very, very well, as you might expect. I kind of landed on Peltzer because this is the first time I thought he didn't sweat up, didn't jig jog, just walked around really well. And I just thought he might be able to run a hole. But I was also tossing up, I was a big scathing on King's Legacy first up. I said he'd run last, and he really improved and walked much better. So, but North Pacific, I don't know how I didn't back this horse. I backed it every start this prep. He looks sensational, holding condition really, really well. And the winner, looks like a proper 1,1600 metre horse. Maybe a little bit of improvement to come, but very close to top, paraded really well. Nothing wrong with Rothfire pre-race. Looked really alert, walked really well. I think it's out for a year, Pete. It's done a sesamoid or something, and you'll be lucky to get back to the races. So that's a bit sad for racing a little bit. It's a good horse, and look, there's a couple of other ones outclassed, but I thought it was 1, 2, 4, 5, 7 were my numbers, and to not get a result on the race, I was a bit dirty on myself.
Mark Shean, obviously the way the race unfolded, it wasn't going to suit Rothfire anyway, but looking at Ole Kirk and North Pacific going forward, there was a bit of talk over the last 24, 48 hours that Ole Kirk might even end up in the Everest. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, I couldn't see him in an Everest. I think they'd be going the Caufield Guineas for sure. I think these are different sort of horses to the 3-year-olds that ran last year. These are more the milers, in my opinion. Obviously, Rothfire has collapsed here in the race and would set the speed up for the 3 at the back of the field, and they've run 1, 2, 3. So Ole Kirk had no luck in the size in Melbourne, no luck in the size in Sydney. So he had proven 1,400 metre form, and course, he's been placed at a mile as well. So I think they'll be on the float to Melbourne, and I don't think they would be Everest horses, in my opinion.
Yep. I think that's one for the just a sweet allure of cash, especially when one of the ownership group has a slot in the Everest, and that's just what happens.
Yeah, but I think the Caufield Guineas is more a stallion-making race, so I'll probably go down there to take on Mo'unga. So it's interesting with the form lines. Mo'unga's been racing against the B division up here, really, but he is favourite over the other two at the moment. So be interested to see how he goes against them.
I can't have it. Next prep Mo'unga. But yeah, I think, as Mark said, these two are 1,400 metre types plus. They're not just sprinters. They're quality horses.
Mark Rhoden, how are you evaluating this race going forward? And is there one of those top line, first three across the line that you would like to follow more than the others?
Not particularly. I'm with the time in this race. They've run a tenth of a second faster than Subpoenaed, who's come home almost a second faster the last 400 than them. So that leads me to believe that this isn't absolutely AA grade form or anything. Obviously, it was a totally different pace set up to the other 1,400 metre race, but there's just if they were, super top class, they'd be running a much faster overall time than Subpoenaed off that pace. In my view, that's what I think. However, in this year's 3-year-old division at a mile, they're going to be. It's actually setting up to be quite an interesting Caufield Guineas, I think, if not the best of all time. But yeah, I think I do take the point about these being more 7 furlong mile type horses, because I don't think on my preliminary figures that I've done this morning that this isn't rated anywhere near as high as some Golden Roses in the past, even last year.
Okay.
Just back to that Mo'unga point, I'm just saying that last start he beat Global Quest, who ran second last in the Golden Rose on Saturday, and Easy Campese, who missed the place in the gloaming. So just juggling the form line, it's going to be interesting with Mo'unga favourite over Ole Kirk and North Pacific at the moment. But as I said, Global Quest has run second last there in the Golden Rose.
The market is certainly projecting him forward, Mo'unga. It has to be.
Yeah.
Big boom.
Okay. I'll just touch on that point as well, Mark Rhoden. That was there's 0.4 lengths separating the top 5 performances on the card. So that's Ole Kirk, Entente, North Pacific, Vegas Jewel, and Subpoenaed. So that does give weight to what you're saying. Typically, if you saw that very fast tempo, you might see a figure produced that might be another 4 lengths superior to the rest of those. So it is.
I'm big on last 400s rather than 600s in my ratings, and I think Subpoenaed's run 0.9 faster last 400 than Ole Kirk.
Yep.
And virtually the same overall time. So that's just a little knock for me.
Yeah, I guess that was the thing. It was probably the last 200 metre split or so. Ole Kirk and North Pacific just seemed to be peaking a little bit going towards the line. Still clearly better than the rest of the field, but that's probably where they lost a little bit. I wonder if that was just also a conditioning run, stepping up to the mile. It will be very interesting to see what happens next start. That brings us to the Golden Pendant, race 8 over 1,400, Group 2. Just gone even here, even to the clock to the 600 metres. And Subpoenaed, again, just another horse that just settled into a perfect spot. You sort of spoke about the fact that a horse might be able to be put into a better position from the barrier, and that was certainly the case. Rob Scurry, there was a couple of your favourites or a couple of horses that you lend yourself towards here in this race. Just run us through, firstly, the favourite, and then also the top fancies here in Subpoenaed and Emeralds as well.
Look, Horbury on her. She walked around really well, I thought. And she's like what I describe as these at-top Waller, which is a horse that is not the usual Waller style horse that I back. And I think I was just going off a little bit of a previous start and the figures that she did, and I just thought she'd ping the gates and lead and sit outside the leaders. And when she was half a length slow, I knew I was cooked. Had Emerald second in my numbers. This is a horse I've been following since when it was first up on the Kenzo and ran a huge race. I thought she was the best horse I saw all winter in terms of the type, and she paraded here with close to top, really relaxed, really well. Just kicking myself that I've lost on this race when she's run second at a really good price. I think Sweet Deal looked really good again. Walked around really relaxing well. Not a skerrick of sweat on her. Subpoenaed, I had her in the numbers, but I'm just a bit sick of her. I can't catch her. She paraded, like perfect wallop, but she's just not one of mine. I think I was on her that day, chopper rescue, and I just can't. Anything else you want me to mention? The toppy for Gay still looks like it's going to improve, and probably getting penalised for winning that Group 1 3-year-old filly. Name escapes me, but you know the horse I mean.
Shout the bar.
Shout the bar.
Mark Shean, subpoenaed. Obviously, it was a decent result for yourself. I guess it's a case-by-case proposition, this horse.
Yeah, well, she wasn't dragged back to last on Saturday. She was a lot closer in the run and, only a couple of lengths off the lead. Hawkbury on her, well, as Rob pointed out, just a little bit tardy at the start. Was a different scenario to the other day, and she had to work a bit harder and the extra distance, and she started to pull as well. So she was a spent force. So I thought Positive Peace was a really good run here. She'll be much better suited going to, even though she hasn't won at a mile, but I think she'll be much better suited at the mile in the angst, where she might get control. A lot of these horses probably won't press on. The speed horses in this race won't press onto that mile race, so she might be able to get control in that race. I thought she was strong late after missing a run at the top of the straight. And Jen Rules began a little bit worse than she normally has and got too far back here. I thought she was another good run as well. Winner went terrific, though, but got into a great spot, and, that mightn't happen again next start.
Mark Rhoden, what's your assessment of this race and I guess a couple of the horses that you will be following going forward?
I don't know. I don't know that I want to label anything that I'll be looking out for. I'd just like to make a general comment about the favourite. Both this and it applies to Roughfire a bit as well. It's there's obviously a massive excuse for Roughfire, and this one didn't have every chance either. But horses that go to a peak like that first up and then turn up at very short odds second up, you really should be looking around them, just as a general rule, I think. I did with Emeralds. I missed the winner. I thought it was very well back the winner. Got in too short for me, but I wanted to be around Hawkbury on her and found Emeralds, who ran well at good odds. And I'm half kicking myself about Roughfire too. I really should have the way I was taught by Mark Reed back in the day was, these are the sort of horses you've really got to oppose. And I didn't do that in the Golden Rose. But look, as I mentioned before about the time, I think Subpoenaed's gone to a new PB on my figures since we've seen her in this country, which you would expect with the run she got. I don't know. I'll just have to see where they turn up this lot. I continue to be surprised by how well Evelina keeps racing. I didn't think she was up to this class, but she just she keeps being competitive. So yeah,
she paraded as best I've seen. She was really relaxed on Saturday, which is not normally her go in the yard.
Yeah, and she was going to the line with the likes of Jen Rules and these things that were running on from the back. It was another good effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on that point about horses at peak first up, is that purely because they might have that little bit of extra freshness on their side, and if there is a fast run race, they are almost racing with that extra gusto and produce that bigger figure, in which case it's quite difficult to reproduce that in later stages?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I mean, any peak performance, but especially a first up one, has to do some physical damage. If they've gone to a new level, or at least equal to their top, it's a taxing, testing, physical performance they put in, and there just has to be a chance that they don't bounce back from it. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that's why Roughfire's injured himself, but you just have to bear that in mind, especially when you're getting into 220 and shorter. The blinding obvious top pick because they've gone so well to start before, but there really can be an opportunity there to bet around them.
Okay. We'll just quickly touch on race 9, Masked Crusader. What are we doing with that horse? Mark Shean, I'll go to you first.
Well, I was thinking about this in a similar vein to what Mark was talking about. I've done my money on it, but I'm thinking, Roughfire and Hawkbury on her, they've run under 1.9 their last start. Masked Crusader's come off a 4 wide. This is all in hindsight. I've done my money on it, but, I'm thinking back, these horses have all had hard runs in fast time last start, and as Mark said, they've sort of had the flashing light on them, but he's raced very flat there and very disappointing. So, but Tager was the big run here, though. Certainly the horse to follow. showing a lot more speed than last preparation.
Yeah.
And he was very unlucky there. Rob, I think you liked him, didn't you?
Yeah, I liked him a lot. Yeah, and once it pinged the gates, I thought I was home. Really, I thought that was going to win. Just thank God it didn't win and have a third versus first protest against me, because that would with Huey knocking me off, that would have just sent me spare. But yeah,
What did you
look,
think about that protest being upheld?
protest lotto.
Didn't seem that bad to me.
So I saw on somewhere that some poor bloke with sports bets cost him 50,000. He's had a $10 one of these same race multis. He's got Bottega to run top 2, and it's just sick. It's cost him 50,000.
He's on the bus to Watson's Bay. He's on the 370.
Anyway, poor bugger. Yeah, that would make you sick.
Rob, how did Masked Crusader look?
Oh, I sent it out on top. I thought I was scathing on it first up, said it looked pregnant. Then second up, I couldn't believe the improvement. Looked like it held that condition, walked around relaxed. Who's to know what the heavy 10 run on first? I don't know what's wrong with the horse. Maybe we've all just overrated it, beat a bunch of Wednesday walkers and everyone got excited. But yeah, Bottega here, obviously the horse to follow, and in hindsight could have gone out on top. It's a big scopy type, rangy horse with paraded really sharp and well, and anyway, should have won, but thank God it didn't, because third versus first would have killed me.
Mark Rhoden, any excuses for Masked Crusader from your point of view?
Nothing obvious. Mate, it just flat off that hard run. That's the only thing I can come up with. Another one. I thought, he was too short for me to back, but I couldn't see him being beaten. I thought he'd finally got suited in a race, and today was, Saturday was the day he had to stand up, and flat as a tack at first glance.
Okay, and we'll just jump into a couple of horses to follow. Mark Shean, I'll start with yourself. Do you have one or two that you're going to be following going forward?
I think Positive Peace is one to follow in a mare's race. And maybe Favreau if he gets to Melbourne over a staying trip, 22 or 2,500 metres. It's a couple of weeks off, but he might be one to follow there. And I've been in love with Nudge this time in. I think she's ticking over quite nicely as well. So they're the main ones, I'd say.
Mark Rhoden, couple to follow for yourself.
Bottega out of the last, the obvious one. One a little bit more out wide. I'd like to see Yonkers with a senior jockey on. T. Stockdale didn't do anything awful on him on Saturday, but I just think he'll be fourth up next start, maybe down in class, maybe with a senior rider on. We'll see him go to his best and get away with the race.
Okay, and Rob Scurry, a horse to follow that's not Love Tap.
On Taunt, how I didn't back that. I grabbed myself up, sent it out on top. Map issues, I thought. And for a gay Waterhouse runner, it didn't look, what do they say, bone and muscle. It's not there yet, so I think it's certainly got another run in it. Destination as well. I think that's going really well. Real line chaser. That's enough.
Okay, very good. Thank you to you all for joining me here. We'll jump on to it next week. It's obviously a busy week ahead, but we'll be joining up on Thursday to preview the Epsom this weekend, isn't it?
Super Saturday.
Yeah, we've got the baby starting as well. And Epsom, Metrop, Clyde Stakes, big meeting. Yeah,
first time I've gone out in a couple of years with the school holes. You filled in for me last year, Pete, and got a result. Remember it well. I'm very keen to get out there, and a little bit of bonus mail Kenzo Wednesday too. I'll be out there again.
Outstanding, beautiful. Can't wait. Until then, go well, guys.
See you, boys.
Thanks a lot. See you later.